Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, another controversial name has been fired by AEW.
We've got the real reason WWE hasn't truly pushed LA Knight yet.
WWE's Takeover is concluding soon.
And Decorated Tag Team signs WWE Legends contract. We'll tell you who that is.
I'm Andy.
I'm Michael.
And this is the news. Let's kick this thing off by talking about another controversial person who's been fired by AEW. Who do you think it is? I'll give you 3 guesses.
CM Punk.
He's gone already, man.
CM Punk.
Yep.
Or CM Punk.
It's Phil Brooks. There you go. That's it. That's the news. No, it's Ace Steel. He's gone. He's gone. What a saga this has been. He's been fired by AEW for the second time in 12 months. He was let go yesterday. PW Insider reported this. Yesterday, let go from his position as a coach and producer, which he'd been doing remotely. Of course, AEW brought him back, seemingly at the whim of CM Punk, or the will of CM Punk, ahead of Punk's comeback for the Collision debut in June. Steel had been told that you have to work remotely, you're not coming to the tapings. That caused a bit of friction there with Punk, as we've already covered before, but now Steel has been let go from AEW once again. Of course, he was with AEW before. I think he joined in like early 2022. You saw him on TV in the build to the Jon Moxley match and all of that, where he cut that fired up promo and took that really strange backstage photo where it looked like some mutant was trying to escape from his face.
Punk and the dog collar, yeah.
He looked demented. and look, why did he get fired the first time around? He was involved in the brawl.
Yeah.
He was in CM Punk's locker room, and of course accounts on this situation vary. However, he allegedly threw a chair at Matt Jackson and allegedly bit Kenny Omega on the arm. Obviously, we weren't in the room, so we can't say for sure that he did that. But Kenny Omega was appearing in Japan with bite marks on his arm a few days later. So, he was understandably let go following the internal investigation into that matter. Earlier this year, he was brought back to AEW doing that remote role. Top stars in pro wrestling get what they want. This was yet another example of that. But now Ace Steel is gone. This felt inevitable from the moment Punk was let go last week. Ace Steel gone. Yeah, fired.
Yeah, like as much as you want to sink your teeth into this, there's not a lot left to chew on, is there? Like, I know that he was like designed to bring a bit more bite to the booking, but
that's like, 3 of them.
Ultimately, like after that situation where that poor canine was injured,
you had 4.
Like, I just find the situation to be untenable. Like, it was just, there's no more gums to this. I think like he had to go. Not that you call for people's jobs, none of that sort of stuff. We never do that. However, obviously he was the known Punk ally. So much about his return seemed tied, even just speculatively, to the Punk return. And
you might say.
You might. Yeah. And if the, like some people said he was armless, but ultimately, like if the two sides, when it came to Punk, couldn't come to an agreement, like Steel maybe stood no chance either, did he? Yeah,
this is it. I mean,
shame. Whole thing's a shame.
If you're treating Kenny Omega's arm like beef jerky, allegedly, that's a very strange route to go down.
Yeah.
To bring him back, that is. Yeah, I mean, to me, this whole thing was highlights a flaw in AEW's conflict resolution system, right? I mean, this whole conflict wasn't resolved in the first place. It was, hey, we'll put you over here, we'll put you guys on Wednesday and Saturday, and we'll hope that something doesn't happen. That's what it was. There was no real proper resolution here. They put these people in situations where like another blow up was going to happen, and it did. There was no like way of like addressing the behaviors that led to this thing and trying to eliminate those and coach them out of people, or at least make them aware of what would happen if a thing like this occurred once more. Obviously Steel is a bit different. They put him working from home, but why would you do that? The obvious answer is you're catering to CM Punk, but at the same time this is a guy who allegedly bit one of the aggrieved parties. Man, look, there's been bad on all sides of this whole thing, for sure. There've been mistakes made by every party, but I think at this stage it's frankly very, very silly to pretend that Ace Steel's actions in this meant he should have been brought back to the company. So, look, we don't sit here and go, yes, fire people, but it's very clear that him being there was bad for the situation. And again, a flaw in the conflict resolution in this company, and you would hope that as a result of all of this, lessons have been learned now, and that we'll resolve conflicts in different ways.
Everybody can move on, not just the punker himself. Everybody can maybe try and move on and move forward
and hug each other.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Shouts to Larry, by the way. Hope he's doing well.
I hope he's okay. And Larry's like, I mean, look at him. He's still got a dog in him. You know who else has? LA Knight, right? His push kind of remains a subject of much conversation at the moment within WWE and outside of it from the fans as to exactly what that level's going to be. And it turns out that some of that could be because of contract talks. PW Insider's Mike Johnson came through first to say that the two sides had been locked in contract talks and negotiations. They reported that a deal was either nearing completion or completed at this stage, with Knight's deal apparently to be worth, for 5 years at least, and you assume worth some decent money for that as well. Fightful Select added to that WWE had actually tried to lock him down during SummerSlam weekend and SummerSlam season, wanted to tie him down, even though the contract was, quote, nowhere near the expiry date. Fightful also added that it was a late 2024, early 2025 date of the original contract, so indeed it does tie in at that, like 5 years. They're trying to lock him in as long as possible. They also added that, quote, some of the initial offers were countered, and that WWE wanted to finalise Knight's contract before following through with the push, despite all of this time he had. That's more unusual on typical terms because we often hear about negotiations taking place within the last, 12 months of a wrestler contract. So, like, the two sides trying to do it now certainly lends credence to the idea that it might be something to do with the push. How long have we got you for before we strap the rocket? You can you can sort of rationalise things a little bit there, can't you?
Yeah, it does make sense, that snippet about them not really wanting to push him properly. That, like, it makes sense with regards to, like, what we've seen on TV, right? You think about, why didn't he win Money in the Bank? Why didn't he win this match? Why wasn't he on Mania? Blah, blah. Like, there's loads of examples where people have gone, oh, it would have been nice if LA Knight won that or did this. If WWE didn't want to do that until they tied him down, there you go, there's your reason. Is it right? Is it wrong? Particularly if his deal doesn't expire for over a year. Hey, you can decide that. But it does start to mean things make a bit more sense in your head, and you would hope once he signs it, he would get that push that his popularity warrants. For me, personally, I can understand why a company would want to have someone locked down for X years before going into a major plan. But at the same time, the guy is too over to be denied. Far, far too over to be denied. Ridiculous reactions for this geezer. It's like 3 years older than me or something. And look at him as well. He's a piece. Insane reactions, catchphrases, crazy. It's all popping off. It's coming together beautifully. For me, I would have just pushed him right away, personally. Because, look, with all due respect to LA Knight, I'm obviously a big fan of him, right? You can tell from the way I talk about him. But I think WWE is the perfect place for him. That's not to say that other wrestling companies would not pursue him, because why wouldn't you? He's so entertaining. But WWE is the perfect environment for his particular skill set to flurry. He is a good wrestler, but a phenomenal character and talker, and this is a great environment for that. Not that other companies don't have great talkers. That's not what I'm saying at all. Do not get it twisted. In fact, I think AEW actually has the best talkers in the business. But when your wrestling skills are maybe a 6, and that's my honest appraisal of Mr. Knight, but your talking skills are a 10, this is the best place to overcome that.
I love stories like this. Yeah. This is why we were glad to see the Monopoly smashed in 2019. Wrestlers are independent contractors. It is not a secure industry. It's not a safe industry, literally, in terms of how you put your body on the line. Certainly not a financially safe one. This guy, as you say, is like, 40 maybe? And for him to be 40 years old when he's got people on television scripted to say, you're too old, you're a flash in the pan, you're no good. Having the confidence to sit at that table and be like, no, I'll wait for my 5-year deal, thanks very much. Get the money, get the years on the contract, like get as much as you can out of this incredibly rich company. Same for anybody in AEW as well. Use the existence of two major companies to like drive that deal up. Show that you've got confidence in yourself and you gamble on yourself. Like, I understand, you're right, I understand why WWE, it's a long time that you'd still get a couple of years out of him, but you can understand why they wouldn't want to push anybody they didn't feel was there forever. But if you're the wrestlers, this is great. These are stories I want to hear now there's two companies
He
back.
should be in that company getting paid for the rest of his career.
Totally.
On screen and off, whatever he wants to do. Let's roll over to WWE and that takeover. I'll keep this one real quick because I know you guys aren't so much into the business stories, but this could have implications. Endeavour, obviously, the takeover of WWE was announced in April. It is due to close next week, Tuesday, the 12th of September. That will represent a merger of the WWE and the UFC under TKO Group Holdings. Technical knockout. There you go. That's what that stands for. Maybe. They released a press release yesterday confirming this. They hope to close next Tuesday. You would imagine that will happen, and we'll see what happens when it does. That will, Vince is staying on as executive chairman. Obviously, he returned to that position in January. Triple H no longer part of the board, which is quite interesting, I think, to monitor as part of the new agreement. He's not on the board anymore. He's still the chief content officer. But, of course, there are talks of cuts, cost synergies. I think these corporate eggheads, says the bald guy, call it. And Nick Khan talking about making millions of dollars of cuts and stuff. Obviously, we hope that people don't lose their jobs. But this happens with corporate takeovers, so it's something to watch out for.
Yeah. This feels like delayed inevitability, all this sort of stuff, doesn't it? Maybe WWE and UFC finally being formally anointed as one organisation, they'll compromise and bring the punker back as long as he has one more fight in the octagon first. Entertainment for the board before we get entertainment for all of us.
Yeah.
Like Triple H, you got to go in the octagon first.
That would totally destroy his honor in wrestling. You put that man back in the UFC.
It's like WWE's version of Inoki, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just kill them all first and send them out to work.
And you go, you can fight, who's a UFC fighter these days? Stipe Miocic.
I know all the UFC fighters. There's Chuck Liddell, Tank Abbott, Ross Geller,
Art Jimmerman,
Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
Yep, that's all. We've got them all, haven't we?
Bob Sapp.
We've done them all. George St. Peters. I think we've covered, haven't we?
You're doing my bit.
Shout out to the MMA fans.
You're doing my gimmick.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like your Wrestling Observer with tinge with MMA, now it's on WhatCulture Wrestling too.
Yeah, we're covering it. We're going in. I used to love MMA.
We know all the guys. I love the Seven Sides of Steel that they're fighting. Should we do some more wrestling?
The Ultimate X match. Yeah, let's go.
Speaking of real hard shoot fighters, the Dudley Boys, Bubba Ray and Devon, have signed WWE Legends contracts. As much was confirmed in a very glowing piece by Sports Illustrated's Justin Brasser. You can read the whole quote on the whatculture.com/WWE news article about this very story. But yes, he did confirm that the two of them have signed Legends contract. This comes about as Bubba Ray and Devon, as Bully Ray and brother Devon are about to work as Team 3D one more time in Impact, formerly TNA, where they were multi-time tag team champions there, for Impact 1000, the 1000th episode of Impact. That'll air sometime in September 14th. Yeah. It's due to tape next week. The two of them haven't been together on screen since their 2018 Hall of Fame induction. That itself followed that quite nice and quite sweet 2015 to 2016 nostalgia run in WWE. Look, it's Dudley's, man. This sort of feels inevitable, doesn't it? The two of them as WWE Legends figures. You've still got Bubba Ray in the, kind of in our sphere, I guess. Works for Busted Open, provides comments, loves heat. Devon, up until last year, was an agent with WWE. So, yeah, they're kind of still in the mix, and they're just the latest to get these nice, cushy Legends deal to earn money for the legacy stuff.
They're going to put someone through a table in a couple of months, aren't they? That's what this will be. Mm-hmm. They'll show up every now and then and kick someone's ass when they need to. Probably on one of those Legend shows or whatever. It's really interesting to me that they're wrestling this week.
Devon was done, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Dunzo.
He had major surgery either last year or the year before, and he documented it quite publicly, I remember. So hey, that's cool. That's really cool that he's been through this extreme procedure and he's able to do a little match. I have no idea what that will entail. It might just be hitting a 3D, kicking someone's ass, hitting a 3D. But hey, this is fun. They're for me, they represent a nostalgia era where my kind of balance between childhood joy and knowing what was really going on in wrestling was at a perfect equilibrium. So it's a really fond memory of me, the turn of the century, that era of tag wrestling, the tables matches, the TLC matches and all of that stuff. So I love it when these people show back up and come back around. By them I mean the Dudleys, the Hardys, Edge and Christian. I love it when they're on screen together. It just, my inner child comes to life. And good. I will 100% be watching Impact 1000. I think it airs next week. It's taped this weekend. It'll be fun.
My little take on the Dudleys is that with them two, the work became the shoot. They spoke for years, especially Bubba Ray. He kind of enjoys being that kind of loudmouth figure, but he always about this business, we're the best goddamn tag team of all time. And then they kind of work towards becoming one of them. They're absolutely in the conversation. All those belts don't happen without tons of promoters having faith in them. That TNA run, kind of underrated about the things they did. They sent themselves up as they would stand on the scales to try and qualify to work X Division matches. The Fish Market street fight where Shark Boy put a burger on the end of a fishing rod to catch Bubba Ray. Bully Ray had a legit decent singles run as an Impact World Champion. I think the longer they went on and plugged away at it, the more, the work became a shoot, and they did become that Road Warrior level all-time team that they talked themselves up to be for so many years. Good for them.
Yeah, shout out to the Dudley Boys, all-time favourites. Let's move over to today's questions from the YouTube community. I got it right today, guys. Hello, Andy, and insert name here.
Hiya.
There you go, brother.
That's just what the comment section. That's the nicest thing the comment section called me.
To be fair, I didn't put a co-host name in the video in the thread here because it changes, and I've got a cold, and you were the only one psychotic enough to sit there. You just had one. It's fine. Don't worry about him. He's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, he did.
I did.
We sit across from each other. It was colds are ubiquitous. They happen, man.
Get cold, brothers.
You just get cold and stay old. This one is from Tom Hooley, by the way, who called you insert name here.
Thanks, Tom.
Shout out to Tom. What is your wrestling pet peeve? Mine is when a wrestler is watching the ref before kicking out.
Good. Yes, when you can see the eyes. Mine, and it started with Hulk Hogan. It makes my S itch. Is when wrestlers sing their own theme tunes walking out the ring.
Oh.
I don't care, right? Even if, like, Edge, look at Edge. Like, imagine having Metalingus as your song. Like, we sing that every day as, like, a morning anthem.
Yeah.
Like, the whole team stands up and sings it, right, when we start work. It gets us fired up for the day. Edge doesn't sing that. He doesn't go, on this day, as he's walking down the ring.
Yeah.
Like, Saraya does it at the moment.
Yeah.
The Elite were doing it when they had that stupid bloody Kansas song.
Scarlet. When
I
Ross is
could almost give that a pass because it's part of the entrance.
because you're a mark.
I who doesn't love Parry and Pross? But, like, Hogan, when he was, like, literally chopping down the mountain with the edge of his hand, I was like, shut up, mate, just play your belt and get to the ring.
Exactly.
It really makes my sort of skin stand up and all the rest of it. Oh.
I'm 100% with you. My one used to be the watching TV from this angle.
Yeah.
It used to be that. But actually, you know what? Like, I've actually grown to kind of love that. I've grown to appreciate that as just a little absurdism that we let into our life. Like, look, Irish whips exist, right? Wrestling is inherently ridiculous. Mm-hmm. I've kind of grown to love the TV angle. I'm not gonna, and it's fun for a meme, especially when like you see the Young Bucks taking the piss.
They were great with it. I think they should have gone further. I wanted them like hanging upside the building like Spider-Man watching it. Like how stupid can they get?
Going into a cinema like this.
Yeah, like having like one of them telescopes that goes around a corner and like watching it through there, like through the telly.
Like that's the Wall Brother distances.
Yeah.
Now, it's one that's never really gone away. It's the jumping nothing, I think. You know, when someone jumps off the top rope into a move and they're not attempting anything.
Don't even put their hands up for an axe handle.
They're just like, hey! Yeah. It's like, it's one of those things that does like really take me out of it. I'm sure there are situations where it's difficult to do anything other than that, right? I'm not a wrestler. I don't understand the craft as well as people who actually do the job. But if you're in a spot and you can't think of a way to do it than just jumping off and getting super kicked or whatever, maybe do something else. Let's move on. Second question. Who's this one from? It is from William Lubbold, who wants to know, will the story of MJF be that he's playing a long con to destroy Adam Cole, or will the story be that Max is legitimately trying to be a good guy but lacks the character to actually be a hero? Maybe he wants to be good, it's just too hard, like he wants the adoration of the fans but hasn't earned it. This was actually an office conversation yesterday. I think it's the latter, and I think that's actually much more compelling. I think the idea of MJF earnestly trying to tap in, because like to what he feels inside when he goes to Long Island and he's treated like a hero. The idea of him earnestly trying to tap into that at this stage is far more compelling to me than some "it was my plan all along" contrived scheme. My opinion, we are now at the stage where we cannot do that. It is untenable to do that. To go, I screwed you in the end. You could have done it months ago if that was the plan. Why would you waste your time buddying up to him for so long? For me, the second version of this is perfect. The "it was my plan all along" was perfect earlier, but we've been through Wembley. We've been through the tag title win. Doesn't make sense anymore for me.
It's both. I honestly believe it's both. It is MJF trying to be the good guy, and what we're seeing of him, it's when I see him slap fives, it's like there is something in his eyes that goes, I don't want to touch these people, but I realise if I do touch them, maybe it'll bring the goodness out of me. Maybe I should just, I did hate him at first, maybe I should just go with this. What we are watching is AEW and MJF crafting the perfect way for him to have a 6-month false start babyface turn.
Scumbag babyface.
Before he turns anyway and says, I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I tried so hard. Like, what I've just said about people singing their entrance themes is MJF's entire life right now. Like, every day he goes, like, his head hits the pillow, he's like, oh, God, I did that again. Like, what am I? What am I anymore?
He has to turn in the end.
Yeah, one day he will be just the full-on babyface, and he'll be even more cocky than he is, and it'll be Steve Austin, who never said, I love you guys, he just kind of organically turned.
Yeah.
This is their way of getting that with MJF, having the cake and eating it too, and then him still being a heel when all is said and done. Adam Cole being the nicest guy in wrestling is a perfect guy for it. And I absolutely love that this week especially, when Roddy Strong tells you about how he had to like guard his house with a BB gun because his drug and alcohol addicted parents were out the house, is being positioned as a villain because that's how good the devil is. MJF has made us go, shut up, Roddy. Even Tony Schiavone, I'm sick of Roddy Strong. It's going to turn out that like we all should have been like Roddy a bit more sympathetic to his neck
to the
health,
man in the neck
to his
brace.
neck health. Yeah, it's like
his commitment to the bit, by the way, is absurd.
It's great
he's
stuff.
taking selfies with the thing on. Like
it is the power of the devil to kind of fool everybody.
Wearing the mask, all that stuff. Daniel Lopez, final question of the day. Shout outs to Daniel. What up, my dudes? In your opinion, which wrestler do you think sells the best? Also, who do you think is underrated? Brock is the best, and Rhea Ripley is underrated. It's really interesting, Brock, because he's my choice for underrated. He's phenomenal at selling, but you don't see it as often as some other wrestlers because he's a big dominant killer guy. So he's actually my most underrated one because I feel like not enough people point that out. He's great. He's phenomenal.
Brock Lesnar's a fantastic seller because I think we've seen over the years, for better and worse, there's a lot of reality attached to this. You can kind of tell who Brock wants to do business with. I don't want to cast aspersions on why that might be, but you only need to look at his work with the likes of Braun Strowman, with Dean Ambrose, as nights when he just didn't fancy it. And when that happens, matches fall apart.
Contrast with the Finn Balor match when he's selling the abdomen.
Yeah.
It's like
Cody.
Wow.
In like the SummerSlam match especially, like there are loads of examples of Brock on the sell when he's actually trying to get somebody over. I cannot look past. He's the answer to every question in wrestling because he was the best at every aspect of it. Bret the Hitman Hart.
Being interesting, maybe.
Bret the Hitman Hart was a
joking.
Like because he understood the mechanics of a wrestling match and how if he was working your body part, he wanted you to feel a certain way. He would then like do that if you were working his. The Bret Hart selling a knee is the most heartbreaking thing to watch in the world because you think that man's never going to walk again and you feel like you can see the muscle stems tearing away under his tights. Just in every single aspect of the physical dynamics of a pro wrestling match, he made it feel real right down to the selling.
Sean Better, but...
Oh, wow.
I'm just taking the piss. I
don't... Nobody has that fight anymore, do they? Let's bring that fight back.
Like, I can't
the Elite Punk Culture Wars replaced the Sean Brett one. Let's bring that back.
I like the little pop, but I can't be asked committing to it because I don't believe it. For me, my best again is tough, but three favourite sellers in wrestling history: Ricky Morton, Terry Funk, Tomohiro Ishii. Ricky Morton basically invented the face and power role. If he didn't invent it, he perfected it, getting his ass beat in those tag team matches before Robert would come in with a hot tag and stuff. Unbelievable. Terry, Jelly liked selling, all that stuff. King of pro wrestling. And similar to Brett in a lot of ways, where another guy who made it feel real and rugged and raw. And Big Tom, like, oh my God, like, it's a completely different type of selling to the people we've discussed so far. He is a lump of rock that you have to chip away at, and he's going to no-sell. But that's part of it. That's part of the whole thing. It's like you hit him in the face with a forearm 5 times, and he stands there and like growls at you. It's not that he's not registering the pain. It's not that these things don't hurt. It's that he is so tough. He doesn't want to show you that it hurts, so he endures it. And the payoff to that is that 5 minutes later, when you hit him again, he goes down like a sack of crap.
The post-sell. Yeah.
Exactly, and the whole thing builds up. Like, he is one of the best guys at just collapsing. He's one of the absolute best at, like, what you talk about with Brett with a knee, it's Tom in the arm and the shoulder. Like, he clutches that thing and works it like you think it's going to fall off of his body. He is, for me, the greatest seller the sport has ever seen, and my favourite wrestler for that reason. That's one of the many reasons.
2 more. One of them because he gets a lot of grief for never doing this, along with his partner. The saga of Matt Jackson's back in New Japan was always a joy. Every wrestler using it as one giant target. Like, and even when they were doing the Elite melodrama, when I think Kenny pushed him over and he landed on his back, and it was like, come on, man, you know about his back.
That was like 4 years of it.
Yeah, like,
and you know, the best thing about that year when the Young Bucks decided we're going to do a whole year that's just about selling, is that they had a match with Evil and Sanada in Japan that year, right? And they did a spot where they subverted it. It was
Nick's foot, wasn't it?
Nick's foot. He went to do a springboard move and he fell off the ropes. Like, an incredible sell. And people are so anti-Young Bucks in their agenda. They thought it was a botch. Amazing. Shout outs.
And also, finally, because I think we talk about selling limbs and things on the outside, what about on the other side? I want to shout out everybody that's ever worked in a performance center or on NXT for being able to sell inner conflict.
Staring at your hands, the original form of pro wrestling selling. Bobby Fish invented that in 1920.
We first saw Staring at Your Hands in the old Fish Londos classics.
Oh my god, selling out Greek arenas.
That's selling,
8
brother.
million thousand people. Check this out by